Have you memorized some basic major and minor scale forms but don't know what to do with them now? Today's video is for you. I'm Joshua Kenson, and this is Kenson Guitar Academy. I help beginner guitarists reach their musical goals. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, make sure to subscribe. So today I have 3 scale exercises that can be applied over any major or minor scale form that you may have learned. They help further ingrain these scale forms into your mind and also increase your finger control. Now, like I said, these exercises can be used over any major or minor scale form, but for these exercises, I'm going to be using a G major scale in 2nd position. This is one of the more common shapes that we learn after getting those open scale forms, so I feel like it's a good place to start with placing these exercises over. So the first exercise that we're going to look at is playing this scale with a triplet feel, and what we're going to be doing is outlining the scale in triplets. So instead of just running through this scale like that, we are going to outline 3 notes at a time. So we will start with this G, go up 3 notes, and then we go to the next note, A. And it's really kind of a 3 up, back 1 feel. But we're not going to give that rest. We are going to give it a real triplet type feel. Bop, 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 bop. So if we counted it in as a like 1, 2, 3, 4, we would do that in triplets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So obviously you're not going to play it that fast right out the gate, so take it at a nice slow tempo. Even if you don't want to run the metronome just yet, just think of it as giving a little bit of an emphasis on every 3rd note, that note that we move back to, okay? So it would be like a... So let's see if we can run through this at about that tempo right there. So this is kind of a 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. End it on the octave there, and then we can just take it right back down. 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet. Keep on going. And notice on the descend there, I just went to that F sharp below and ended it on that octave. So we actually got to play into a 3rd octave for a second there. It just sounds more complete to me that way. And we did that on the ascend as well. We passed over that G into the A and then ended back on that G again. So like any scale exercise, we're going to start this at a very slow, moderate pace and gradually increase the speed, whether we are doing all down picks, all up picks, or doing alternate picking as well. Now that's the first exercise, doing these scale forms in a triplet type feel. Now, if you would like a practice video for this, something that takes you through that metronome setting gradually slower to faster, let me know with a comment down below. I'm definitely working on a lot of downloadable PDFs and practice videos for my Patreon as well, so make sure to check that out down below. You can even sign up for free. I have a free tier on there as well. On to the next exercise, we're going to leave that triplet feel to the side, but we're going to add an extra note into the mix. So instead of moving just 3 up and then back 1, we are going to move 4 up, and then move back 2. So instead of thinking this as moving back 2, we really need to think of it as we are outlining the scale degrees, and each scale degree is playing a sequence of 4 notes. So this is kind of, if we're thinking of it in terms of scale degree, we are playing the first scale degree, second, third, fourth, and then moving back to the second, third, fourth, fifth, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on. Again, we are outlining that scale, and each scale degree has a sequence that is playing. The first sequence was 3. This sequence is 4. So instead of that triplet feel, this is more of a 16th note feel, like a 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and so on. So let's ascend through this together nice and slow. Let's go ahead and count it in from 3 just so it doesn't take forever. 3 E and 4 E and Now I did break from the pattern there at the end there. Really it should go to that F sharp, but I don't want us to have to go up to this note up here, this B up here, so I just went ahead and just ends it more cleanly. Now one thing to note before descending through this exercise, notice that when I was moving on the 3rd string into the 2nd string, I had to momentarily shift position, okay? So right here, as my pinky lands on that E, my next note is C right here, okay? Now, in order to not have to shift from pinky to pinky, I just momentarily reach over my 3rd finger and then I'm right back in it. Reach. So it's not even really shifting position completely. It's just that 3rd finger for a moment decided to be helpful and reach out to that 5th fret instead of just sticking to that 4th fret. And that allowed us to shift more cleanly from that E to the C. And you're going to notice that same shift as we move through this descending. So let's give this a try. 3 E and 4 E and descending. And same thing there, I shifted from the pattern a little bit at the end there just to make it sound like a clean resolution from that F sharp into the G. So again, on that descend, I shifted preemptively. Instead of going to my 4th finger here, I used my 3rd finger, so my 4th finger would be free to catch that next note, which is E. And that's the only instance when we descend where our 3rd finger is helpful to our 4th by shifting over in position momentarily to allow a smoother shift from that C to that E. So exercise 2 is just a sequence of 4 notes at a time. And we're just outlining that major scale. And so on. Exercise 3 is arguably the most difficult. I don't know for everyone, but for me it certainly was the most difficult. So in exercise 3, what's happening is we are playing all the major and minor thirds that appear within the scale. So starting with that G, we're going to move to the major third, B, right there. So we skipped over the A. There was no sequence of 3 or 4 notes. We are skipping notes now and playing the thirds within the scale. So G to B, and then we have A to C, then we have B to D, C to E, D to F sharp, E to G. So this one gets you really familiar with all the thirds that are in this scale. And we just outline those thirds through the 2 octaves and then descend through them as well. So let's take this one nice and slow. 3 and 4 and thirds. And much like our sequence of 4, our third finger needs to momentarily shift position when we are playing that C and E right there, those thirds. So we have, and then momentarily that third finger shifts up, and we get the major third between C and E there. Definitely the most difficult for me when I was learning it, but it gave me a real sense of freedom around the instrument, especially just knowing where all those thirds are within the scale. So now we'll run through it descending, and that same thing's going to happen where we need to momentarily shift position so we aren't using the same finger twice in a row. So 3 and 4 and descend. And there you have scale exercise number 3. Now, once you feel comfortable playing it over this G major scale or any other scale that you choose to start with, you could start with an A minor if you wanted to, or a sequence of 4. Those thirds. Once you're able to play these over all those different scale formations that are out there, you're really going to have a sense of freedom and your fingers are going to just move so freely. Not that there isn't more to learn, but this is a real good starting place to build that sense of freedom in our movements. If there's an exercise that I skipped over in this video or one that you use all the time, let me know what it is down in the comments. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure to let me know by liking this video and subscribe if you haven't already. I've been working on a lot of material for my Patreon, so if you'd like to get the associated lesson notes to this video, it's linked down below. Again, I'm Joshua Kenson. This is Kenson Guitar Academy, and I'll see you in the next one.